Welcome to the first Monster Spotlight, where we are going to be going over a couple creatures that you'll find in the game. We'll be going over a time lapse to see how the creatures were made visually, and then I will be talking about their descriptions, typing, stats, and obviously their name. So no more wasting time, let's just get into the first monster. Yeah, so this first monster, his name is Salomok, and you guys will see it is some kind of cross between a salamander snake creature and some kind of artillery grenade. He is a cyber type, so we are mixing in some elements of kind of like a robotic arm and things like that. As the cyber type, if you were to relate it to something like Pokemon, I would say is more of the like electric type and steel type. So yeah, I'm just gonna let the rest of the time lapse play through. It's a really cool guy. I really like the design because it was actually just completely created from a silhouette that I started off with. So yeah, let's see the rest of the time lapse, and then we'll get back to finishing up his end design and talking about his description. Salomok are vicious attackers. They stalk their prey in darkness, and only once is there a chance to detect their almost invisible presence. A slide and a sharp click of the tongue, and then the hunter douses its prey with blinding lights so harsh that before sight even returns to the victim, its eyes are rendered lifeless and cold. Bright flashes of heat emanate from within the cloud of light, giving away clues to others of Salomok's lightning-based methods of attacking. Okay, so this next guy you guys have probably seen before. I think I did him on my channel already. Two of these guys I have done a video on of a time lapse. I'm just kind of throwing them in here because I have some monsters that I've created before. People may have seen them, but you know, whatever. I got a lot of monsters to cover, and I think that if I'm showing off 4 or 5 every month, then, you know, if you guys see a little bit of repeats here and there, sorry, but I'm just kind of throwing them in. But yeah, so this guy was actually just designed because my brother was like, hey, you should do a spider creature. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So I just started creating some monster with a small body and big legs, obviously, because it's a spider-like creature. And then I wanted to differentiate a little bit, so I created some horns on the top of his head, kind of like antennas, which we talk about in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much the design. So let's get into his description. Rakai sense their surroundings through a type of mental sonar, removing their need for sight or hearing. They do have an incredible sense of smell though, catching scents through the white antenna on their bodies. They are able to pick out the weakest targets from a crowd based on how they smell, then hunt them down under the cover of darkness. Despite their fragility, they are fearsome predators capable of taking down the largest of prey. This guy is pretty interesting because I don't think anybody has seen the original concept. I'll probably put it on screen now, but yeah, this was actually being redesigned from a creature that I did a long time ago, and it didn't really fit because it was like a 20 by 20 pixel canvas, and all of my monsters now are a 42 by 42 canvas. So anyway, I'm just remaking this guy. He was based on some kind of like ghoul, anglerfish, water type creature, so that's the design that I'm going with. I actually ended up in the time lapse, by the end of the time lapse, I had a very bulky creature, but after the time lapse, I ended up reworking it a little bit to be more of a slender type monster. So you guys will see that at the end. But anyway, let's just finish off with the time lapse and read his description. The Keepers of Death. When an angular finds a dead body, it extracts the soul and carries around the creature's or person's spirit energy with them until they can find a suitable resting place. Many times these tend to be human graveyards where many souls have already gathered. They tend to these resting places in the middle of the night, and often small groups of glowing lights can be seen drifting about in graveyards. And last but not least, we have a fan favorite. I'm not too sure why, but everybody really likes this monster. So his name is Stowport, and he is the rock mushroom nature monster. I think he's pretty cool. I like his design. As I said earlier, it's pretty unique, but I don't think it's anything special. I think there's a lot of other monsters that I enjoy more than this guy. For his initial design, I was actually just looking up some random pixel art creatures, and I came across some kind of mushroom creature, and I was like, I like mushrooms, so I wanted to make a mushroom guy for myself. And then I don't think that a mushroom guy would have legs, so I decided to give this guy just arms, where he kind of just walks on his arms. So this time I actually did have a concept in mind before going to the pixel art drawing. Most of my guys aren't done like that. It's kind of concept done while making the pixel art, because I usually can find some pretty good inspiration from just creating random silhouettes and seeing pictures out of the shapes that I'm drawing. After the time lapse, I ended up polishing him up a little bit to make the material of his body seem a little bit more mushy and round. Gotta love mushrooms. Stowport are able to grow rapidly to enormous sizes when kept in isolation, but none have been found in nature beyond a relatively modest size. This seems to be because Stowport are able to produce massive quantities of nutrients, but they instinctively distribute those nutrients to surrounding plants and their young. These creatures are very protective of their environments and will almost never be found alone. That's going to do it for the first monster spotlight. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I have a lot of really cool designs that I want to show in the upcoming months, so stay tuned for the 10th of every month where we will do the monster spotlights. And also make sure, again, we're doing devlogs on the 5th of every month and the 20th of every month. So we got content coming on the 5th, the 10th, and the 20th. Guys, I need your help, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and comment what you think below. This has been the first Monster Spotlight, so until the next one, have a great life.